Yeah.
And in Switzerland, they also did something about. They've also dealt with drugs in a different way, right? And we have a few states in the United States that are beginning to at least deal with marijuana in a different way. The West Coast isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's very interesting that what happened in Switzerland is fascinating. I'm a Swiss citizen as well as a British citizen through my dad. My dad's from Switzerland. And I went there, and it's very interesting, and I think really relevant to the debate in the United States, how they won the argument for legalizing heroin in Switzerland. Switzerland is an extremely conservative country. My poor grandmother didn't get the vote until 1978, right? This is not San Francisco. And yet they voted to legalize heroin. And the way they did it is fascinating and really important. It was not through making the case for compassion for drug addicts or liberty for drug users or any of those things. It was a very different argument. And it was partly led by Ruth Dreifuss, who was then the president of Switzerland and also an extraordinary person who I got to know. And what Ruth and others explained was, look, people think legalization means anarchy. What we have now with the drug war is anarchy. Unknown criminals sell unknown chemicals to unknown users, all in the dark. Legalization is a way of restoring order to this anarchy. It means you bankrupt the criminals. It means you stop disease spreading. It means they no longer be unknown chemicals. They're safe, and they are chemicals that are as safe as possible and regulated and tested for their safety. And the addicts come into nice, clean clinics instead of being chaotic out on the streets. That was the argument that won the legalization of heroin in Switzerland. And they voted twice in referenda to legalize heroin by 70%. Partly because when you saw the results, they were really unanswerable. There was, I think, the exact figures are in the book, but I think the figure was a 93% fall in burglary. Street prostitution just ended. It doesn't happen anymore. You know how many deaths from heroin overdoses they've had since they started doing this? Zero. I don't even mean 0%, so rounding down to zero. I mean, none. There haven't been any.
So the United States would have to have this longing for order that the Swiss have in order to impart that, right? I mean, you can eat off the floor in the airport in Switzerland, right? But the United States is not. How are we going to do it?
Well, I think.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but.
No, you didn't at all. You mentioned before the Colorado Washington. Actually, I don't know if you can see it, but behind me, I've got a poster of the Berlin Wall being torn down. And the only time I ever saw my dad cry, my parents lived in Berlin for a long time. My brother grew up there. And one time when I was 10, I came home and my parents were both crying. And I thought, my mother cried quite often, but my dad never cried. And I thought, oh my God, someone died. And they were watching the Berlin Wall being torn down. And my dad said, you don't understand, we never thought we'd live to see this happen. And when I heard the results from Washington and Colorado, the referendum results to legalize marijuana, I thought, this is the first axe into the Berlin Wall of the drug war. This is a really significant moment.